usually start with reviewing sometimes the email marketing strategy. Sometimes when you ask people, what are you expecting your audience to do from receiving these emails? They're like, come to our website. Okay, and then what? Is that enough? Or do you really think people are just going to go on the website, say, beautiful website, and go back to their inbox? Sometimes you need to change certain things in order to be able to track something. That's the first step, because if you can't track what's happening, and I'm not talking about open rates and click rates. I mean, if you can't track what a user is doing and what's the value of all the work that you're putting into it, it makes it a little bit harder to understand than what's happening in the inbox. Of course, it's one of the questions I see here in the Q&A. Open rates have not been a great metric as a standalone metric. The reasons are, there's a variety of reasons. It depends on who's in your list. So if you're, emailing a lot of Microsoft Office or AWS, people have to download the images in order for the tracking pixel to be pinged. If your tracking pixel is at the top or at the bottom of an email, it gets cut off and it's at the bottom, then somebody opened the email and you don't know about it. And then you have the reverse. If you have bad reputation, or you have certain links in your email that are fishy or weird, or you made a change in how you're talking or your templates and so on, spam filters are more likely to look at you. There's a million and one reasons why open rates and click rates can be a little bit skewed. So it's always important to be able to track what the goal of the email is, and to see, of course, if what you're sending is valuable to people, because it's like a vicious cycle. If you don't send valuable emails to people, people don't engage with them. Therefore, your email marketing statistics are getting skewed more and more, on top of the fact that they're a little bit difficult to be very precise to begin with. And then that affects your reputation. It just keeps on getting worse and worse and worse. And you might be making decisions not because you don't think things are okay, it's because you don't see anything wrong. You're making decisions based on the data that you have, and that might hurt you if you're not, and we tend to be a little bit difficult when it's our own companies. Of course we should send an email to everyone. Everybody loves us and everybody wants the message. And it's not true, right? How long can people stay our customers, or how long can we keep their attention in the inbox? So it's important that all that energy is put correctly at the right place. So the first step for me is having a good marketing strategy that you can track the results, and that will allow you to make better decisions. See who's on your list. You can pass your list through a lot of different services that'll let you know that, for example, I have a domain. One of them is on, some of them are on G Suite, some of them are on AWS. You might be able to see what inboxes you're emailing, and that might allow you to maybe focus on inboxes that don't prefetch content, or, for example, that don't require a user to download images, and see if you can spot different variations over time based on the inboxes that you're emailing. And of course, monitor your reputation and make sure everything's okay, so that you give yourself the biggest chance of having the most precise data. Ask people. Email's a two-way street. You can ask people what they want. But don't worry about the whole open rate. I mean, I still remember that image that was on the 250 OK webinar at some point. I think it was Verizon that was comparing 2014 to 2017, the open rates, and it was 60% was skewed. What Verizon was seeing, and I think it's Verizon, don't take my word for it, was seeing in the inbox was there's 60% of that was fake open rates based on what the ESPs were. I don't know how big the thing was. It was just one graph, and I will never forget it, because it was 2017, and we're 5 years later. And we're complaining about open rates because Apple announced it to the normal people of the world, instead of us just yelling at it behind the scenes as email geeks getting angry. People don't listen or believe us, but that's how it is. And the problem with that is that spam filters are updating so quickly, and they're making such big changes that things that you might have been doing that were okay yesterday, today they're not okay anymore, and you have to change. And you can pout and yell and cry and do something and go burn down some buildings. But at the end of the day, if they decided that this was not good anymore, or that they didn't want to allow this anymore for their users, you're going to have to change what you're doing. And I think it's important to be able to have great goals so that you can have the most precise statistics that you possibly have with a good standard reputation. Because you don't want to go from good to bad in one day, because then I don't know how you're going to be doing marketing strategies. You're going to be going a little bit blind, in my honest opinion.
You also want to think about the point of collection. You need good data coming in before you can properly market it. So A lot happens at that point of collection. That's where verification can be really helpful to kind of weed out. And sometimes, some people think verification on cleaning stuff, but also think verification be a good point to say to your customer, hey, did you type this in wrong? So you don't lose someone who's actually interested. Now, you're also going to have some customers who are going to put bogus emails in. Then you want to ask yourself, at that point of collection, am I giving them incentive enough to give me a good address? So that's also why point of collection is so important. And then you want to protect your forms. So protect them with honeypot fields, reCAPTCHA or CAPTCHA, protect them with double opt-in. Double opt-in is one of the best ways to confirm, although you still have some who have anti-spam filter appliances that click. So sometimes even those can get confirmed, even though the customer didn't really want to confirm it. So I think if the more you can put on that point of collection to protect your forms, to protect your database from getting poisoned, to get the most quality and not lose customers, I think that's going to really help. And also setting those expectations right there. Don't say, hey, we're going to send you promotional. And then they're probably thinking, oh, I'll get one, maybe one a day or every now and then. And then you slam them with 5. Maybe say, here you go. And then also offer a way for them to say, opt down or say, I don't want your daily emails, so-and-so. I want maybe once a week or just your promotional, or I just want your newsletters, or whatever you add value. It doesn't always have to be a sale, but make sure they're aware of it and understand, and make sure when they're unsubscribing, they know exactly what they're unsubscribing from. And if you don't say, well, this is a different stream, so you didn't unsubscribe from that, they need to understand it's all about expectation settings, because if you don't meet those expectations, that's what drives the negative action.